Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the happy egg or the happy Easter egg, whichever one you prefer. It's kind of basically the same thing. You can tell this is the egg banding and then adding different bands to it to kind of decorate it for Easter. It does change the shape. This ends up being a little bit bigger, but just because of all the extra bands. But I think they're adorable and they're smiley. So band wise, for just the shell it's 236 bands. And then I used roughly 50 bands for the decor on this one. But really this part of the decorating is up to you and how you want to do it. A lot of polka dots, or you can do a stripe, or I did some vertical striping to it. There's tons of other ways you can decorate an Easter egg for Easter. You could just use like all glitter bands, or do half and half colors, or all one color, or there's tons of different ways, so that's kind of where your creativity comes in. I'll give you an idea on how to do all of these parts, the vertical bands, the stripes, and the polka dots, so you can do those if you want to. But you'll want the either 7mm pony beads or wrapped bands for the eyes, and the cheeks and the mouth as well too for bands. So we'll get started. Put these guys up here. And I did kind of go crazy on the bottom here, so I think I kind of distorted it a little bit, but I will remedy that at this time. So first, if you want to use beads for your eyes, whatever color, you'll need a couple bands, whatever color your main part of your egg is going to be. And you'll want a piece of either craft wire or a twist tie, string, thread, floss, anything you can get into a V shape. And you'll put your bands down into the center. And then you'll take your bead and thread it over your little tool and pull your bead down onto your bands. And you want two of those. If you do not have beads, you can do a wrapped band, which is just whatever color you want your eye to be. Put it on your hook, wrap it around one time, grab both bands, or I guess figure eight, grab both bands, wrap them around again, and then pull through two bands the color of your egg. So you want two of those if you want the wrapped eye bands. And then the cheeks are made the same way as the eye bands. So again, it's just whatever color you want your cheek to be on the hook, wrapped around into the figure eight. Grab both bands, wrap around again, and then pull through two bands the color of your egg. So you have two cheek bands. And then I pre-made all of my polka dots that I'm going to use. This time around I'm using about 30 of them. They are just wrapped bands, just like we made for the cheek and just like we made for the eye, so it's the same thing. If you want to make them ahead of time, that's fine. Otherwise, maybe skip around the tutorial and see how I do add on either the vertical ones or the striped bands. If you want to do more of those, just kind of up to you. But I did make about 30 of them ahead of time, so you might want to do that as well. So we'll get started. I don't know where I had those. One loom, wrong end towards you. And we'll start kind of the 6th pin up from the bottom here on the left side. Everything is double banded unless I say differently, so it's 2 bands, 6th pin. And we'll take it across. We're going to make an X. So 1 band or 2 bands across, and then go right over the top of that. And then on each of these pins we're going to take the 2 bands and make a cap band, which is just wrapped around one time. Like that. Then what you'll do is you'll start on this side where the band is underneath the other band. Go in through your cap band, grab the 2 bands, pull them up through, and back across your loom. Then go on the other side, do the same thing through your cap band, pull them up through, and back across to the other side. Like so. So now we're going to do a row around, and on this row I'm going to add some polka dots. And these are just the one band wrapped around. You can make just the egg. You just would omit all your decorations. So I'll just take those and put them around. Like that. Then you want to flip the bottom 4 bands on all the pins, leaving 4 bands on. Like that. And now we're going to expand everything. So we're going to expand all 4 pins. And how we're going to do that is this pin up here on the top right. Usually I can just grab the top 2 bands, lift them up, and you see they're not crossed right here. They just kind of go through. I'll pull those up. Now over here, if I pick up the top 2 bands, you can see that they actually belong to the lower pin. So what you're going to do, to leave those on, we'll take them all 4 bands off of this pin, pull them up, then grab the top 2 bands and bring them back down. So this band that's on this pin comes around and goes to the pin on the right. If we did it the other way, then this would be crossed and this would be down here, and that's not, we wouldn't expand very well that way. And the other 2 should be the same way. We have to bring all 4 bands down a pin and then bring the top 2 back. And the same thing over here. Like that. So now we've expanded to 8. Push those down. And we're going to do a row all the way around, 2 bands. I should tell you too that we are working from the bottom of the egg up to the top, so it makes a little difference to you. Like that. So now we'll flip over the bottom 2 bands all the way around. Like that. Push your bands down. And we're going to expand again. So same thing, 4 corners. I'm going to pick up the top 2 bands on this pin up here. I'll be able to bring them just straight up. And then over here, again, we're going to pick up all 4 bands, bring them up a pin, and then bring the top 2 back down. And then do the same thing on the lower 2 corners. All the bands down. And the top 2 bands back up. And same thing here. So again, you can see that the bands that are on this pin come around to the pin on the right. Same thing up here. So we're going to do another row all the way around. I'm going to add more polka dots to this one. So again, just a wrap band. That's all I'm doing here. I think all the colored bands that I'm using are the pastel bands. And then of course the white is glow-in-the-dark white because that's just awesome. So like that. Then we'll flip that'll be the bottom two on the top two pins. The middle two pins will be 4 bands to flip. And the bottom two will be 2 bands. So we're leaving 4 on still. And the same thing on the other side. Like that. You want to push your bands down. And we're going to do another row all the way around. I definitely love Easter, so it's very exciting to see the kiddos search for their Easter eggs and the decorating of them and the mess it makes. Like that. Then you flip the bottom 4 all the way around. It's always fun to watch them search around the house for the Easter eggs from the Easter Bunny, but it's I like taking them to the park as well. They usually have Easter Bunny has gone there to hide the Easter eggs, and I like seeing them there search for them. So like that, 4 bands left still on all the pins. So now we'll put our mouth on. It's whatever color you want the mouth. You put on your hook, wrap it around one time into a figure 8. And then we're going to put the mouth, it's actually going to be a little offset as we go around, but it all evens out, on the 3rd pin up on the right side. So I'm going to take my hook, go in through, grab all 4 of the bands that are on the pin, pull them up, leave them on my hook, slide my mouth band down, and then put the bands back onto the pin. Like that. So the next row is our cheek row, but I'm also going to do the vertical lines around this time. So how we'll do that. So our cheeks are going to go on either side of our mouth, and our vertical lines, it's going to be 1 band. I'm going to start down here at the bottom. I'm just going to take a band, wrap it around one time on this pin right here. And I'm going to take 2 bands, the color of my egg, put them on top, and then I'll slide that band we just wrapped, I can hook it, over into the center, like that. And now, we'll go around and you'll place the band like we did before on all the other pins. Well, skipping right here, so we don't put any where the cheeks are. So again, this pin, then we'll skip the next 2 and then go around on the rest of them. And that includes back here in this corner as well. So like that. This is just if you want to have the vertical lines, this is how to do that. So I'll take my 2 bands, put them on top, And then again, I'll slide that purple band up into the center. Next spot are our cheeks. And the next cheek. And then push these down a little bit more. The 2 bands onto the next spot. And take those bands, pull them back over into the center. And you'll just do that all the way around. Use your fingers or your hook to pull them over, whichever is easier for you. Like so. And the last one here, same thing, bands on, and flip over the last 2 bands. Or last band that's doubled. So this is what the row would look like if you're going to do the vertical lines. Cheek bands, and then your bands wrapped around your stripes. Or stripes wrapped around your bands, yes. So we'll flip the bottom 4 all the way around. Like that. Push your bands down. So next is our eye row. So you want your eyes. And then we're going to slide these bands here that are pretty loose. Actually, I'm just going to slide them over the pin to the right. And then we're again going to put on the 2 bands. And then we'll slide this first one back over to the middle. So now it's wrapped over 2 rows of bands, and that's how we get the vertical stripe. So we can go ahead and take the rest of the bands now and just pull them up to the next pin up, I guess. Make sure you get both bands. Like that. So now the first space here, 2 bands, and then we'll flip the bands back over. Next spots are our eyes. Like that. And then all the way around we'll do the 2 bands, and then just remember to flip over your vertical stripe if you're doing that. Had to go soothe my little one. He's got a canker sore in his mouth, poor little guy, and bothering him, so to give him some more medicine to help it feel a little better for a while. It's like he doesn't quite understand that you need to leave it alone for it to be better. So I think he just kind of sits there and bites his cheek. It's my 3-year-old, so. And it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, so he definitely needs to go back to sleep. And the last one goes on, and again, flip over that band. So it'll look like that. Then we'll go ahead and flip over our bands, the bottom 4, all the way around. Like that, and you'll have 4 bands left on all the pins. I'm going to go ahead and start kind of loosening this up a bit. That. Make sure your bands are pushed down. Then we're going to do a row around, 2 bands. I'm just going to do a plain old row. Like that. Then I'll flip the bottom 4. This next row here we're going to put the stripe on, and that will, it takes a little bit of time, but I like the effect. So you flipped everything, you have 4 left on all the pins. You push them down. And like I said, we're going to do the stripe. And how we're going to do that is it's basically like putting a mouth band on every pin. So, band on the hook, you can wrap it around. You can either do it this way, like I'm showing you, take your hook, pull it through the bands, slide down that band, and then put it back onto the pin. Or you can just take the bands on your hook, lift them up, wrap your band around the pin like a cap band, then replace your bands, and then slide that band over the top. They both create the same effect, so however you want to do that. It might be a little faster to just do it like a mouth band, because that's what I'm used to doing, this type of thing. But doing this all the way around creates a nice little stripe, so. Like I said, it takes a little bit of time. And just make sure you get all the bands back onto the pin if you do this. So that's usually where I goof, if I'm going to goof. I don't know if you can see on my fingernails, there's little, it's like half moon shapes on all of them. I had a friend who wanted to practice her manicuring skills, I guess mainly cuticles and stuff like that, and I think she got a little bit aggressive with my fingernails. It's kind of funny. They'll grow. So like that. It's like having a bunch of mouth bands. So then we will go ahead and do another row all the way around. 2 bands. Like that. Then you'll flip the bottom 4. Bring this towards the center more. So then you push your bands down. So now we're going to start reducing to kind of come to the point on the egg. We're going to reduce the top right and the lower left first. So I'm going to pick up the top 2 bands, and they're coming from the left pin over here. So I'm going to bring them over to the right pin. And then the other 2 bands that are on the pin, they're coming from the right pin, so they're going to come over to the left pin. And I am going to make sure to flip this over to the other side of that pin so it doesn't get stuck there. And I'll go down to the other corner, pick up the top 2 bands. They're coming from the left here, so I'm going to bring them over to the right. And the bottom 2, they're coming from the right, so they're going to go over to the left. So I'm going to do a row around again. Still 2 bands. So it's a long stretch here on the ends now. Like that. So then on the end pins here, they're going to be 6 bands to flip over, the 2 from the reducing, and then the bottom 4. The middle 3 will have the 4 bands. And then the bottom one again will have the 6. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Looking pretty good. So we're going to reduce again now to be the corners on the top left and bottom right. So same thing as before. Pick up the top 2 bands. They're coming from the left, so they're going to go over to the right. and the other ones will come to the left. And then down here, if I can find the top two bands. Top two bands are coming from the right, so they'll go over to the left, and the bottom ones will come to the right. And I'm going to once again do a polka dot row. I like my polka dots. So it's just those wrap bands again. Do a row all the way around. It's kind of funny today because earlier I had a dentist appointment, and then afterwards my husband came home to watch the kids while I went, and then came home and the kids are both just like glued to the window looking out at the house across the street because they are they're moving out, so they have like two big rental trucks, and they have tons of people over there helping them move out, and it's like they couldn't get enough of just staring out the window at them. It's like after a while it's kind of like they're peeping on them. You need to shut the curtains or something, but they're having too much fun. So like that, row around. So our corner pins will have 6 bands to flip. The middle two will have 4. And every once in a while, my daughter would be like, "Ooh, ooh." I'm like, "What are you looking at?" And I'd look across the street. They'd be, they have a couple of daughters, and they're like taking out like beds that had kind of girly headboards, and I mean, she's only 1, but she's just like, "Ooh," she knows. Like that. Now we're going to reduce again, so that'd be the top right and the lower left, same way as before. And the top 2 bands, mine are coming from the left, so they're going to come over to the right, and then the other ones will go to the left. And as we get kind of reduced more, you want to make sure to move them up off that pin, but do it carefully so you don't get any of the bands off of here. So I got that corner, and down to this corner, opposite corner. So my bands are coming from the left, so they're going to come over to the right, and the other ones will go to the left. And once again, I'm going to get them off the pin carefully. So now we're on 6 pins, and we're going to do a row around with the 2 bands again. That. So once again, there'll be 6 bands on the corners, and 4 in the middle, and again 6. So you'll still have 4 left. Like that. So then our last time reducing will be the top left and the lower right. Same thing as before. Top 2 bands, mine are coming from the left, so they're going to go over to the right. And the other ones will come to the left. And then down here. Coming from the right, so they'll go to the left, and then over to the right. Push those down, and we're going to do one more row, and I'm going to do another polka dot row. So it's just the 4 pins left. That. So now every pin is going to have 6 bands to flip over, leaving 4 on each pin. That. So now we are ready to close. I'm just going to take my hook and I'm going to go in through the bands on each pin. That. Pull through 2 bands. Both ends on the hook. Make a slip knot, and you can pull this one tight right away, and then hide your band, hide your tail. Let's see if I'm going to stretch out my egg. Not that. Not too shabby. Fix the smile. There. Happy egg. You may have to do a little poking around down here if it kind of sinks in. Just because when they did the expanding, there's only those the 2 bands there. So kind of, it's not as sturdy, I guess, as the double banding for the rest of it. So I might have to do that. But otherwise, perfect. Perfect. I said it weird the first time. So my happy Easter eggs, they definitely are colorful. I can't wait to see how you do yours. The options are endless. If you make some, of course, you can share them with me on my Facebook page, which is Crafting Fantastic or feelinspiffy. They both will find me. And then my Instagram is at Crafting Fantastic. And of course, if you want to know when I come out with new things, there's always subscribing to my channel. Definitely trying to play catch up a little bit. I know that all the activities that I've been doing lately have kind of had an impact on the number of tutorials that I've had out, but it definitely doesn't mean or have anything to do with my desire to keep blooming, so, which is still there, so. But those are my either happy egg or happy Easter eggs. I hope you enjoy, and they're squishy. So, but thank you very much for watching. I will definitely have more tutorials for you soon.